Satnam, aloha, everybody. Welcome to the live stream here. Let me just fix this. Welcome, welcome. And I'm going to be smart this time and make sure that my sound is on. And it sounds like it is. Hey? So I just want to check in with some people here. Okay. Love, heart, light. Yes. Anybody else going through it right now, like rock bottom? Right. You're so attuned with the reading and theme for today. Love, heart, light. We're going to get into it. Okay. That's great. Okay. So let me share the screen here. And make sure that you have your chart. So if you don't have your chart, you can go to the information box and get your free human design chart. And so you can write down your name and your type and maybe your zodiac too if you feel called. Okay, so let's go into it. Here we are. Okay, so this is for the theme is for the new moon, February 19th. 2023, and the universe is really showing us that there's so much energy around this 55. I feel like I've done so many videos on this, right? It's the shadow of victim, and it's the gift of freedom and the city of freedom too, right? So we're really being called to transcend this. This victim pattern has to leave the planet, this victim consciousness. So remember that every one of the 64 gates, hexagrams, codons. Oh, I don't have that slide. Is has the baseline frequency shadow is 55. It's the victim, right? So this is going through a huge mutation for this new cross of the sleeping phoenix that we're entering into. And just a reminder, especially for the folks that are new, that we're entering this in 2027. So this is the global frequency cycle is completely shifting and changing for 2027. And this is one of the reasons why we're seeing so much change out in the world and chaos out in the world is because things are shifting very, very quickly, right? To prepare for this 2027. So we're leaving the cross of planning. Okay, was the global frequency that's been motivating humanity since 1615. It's ending in 2027. It was all about tribal consciousness. Tribal consciousness is the bargain. You do this for me, I do this back, I do this for you. It really fosters this shadow of codependency that's being transmuted too. And this means our support systems, all of these institutions are going down. Right? Going down. We have to let go of the codependency on little g. Our educational system, our medical system, financial, legal, religion, marriage, even military and police, all these institutions that are rooted in fear and control, they're like the Titanic, and 2027 is that iceberg, right? So what we're being called to do now is to let go of our dependency on these institutions, right? Don't go into that, well, they're going to change and they're going to save us, right? That's a really bad mindset to be in. And that's this victim consciousness, right? Somebody else is going to save me. It's time to jump off the Titanic and go into big G, which is your divine self, your authenticity, which is all inside you. Become self-reliant, self-sovereign, and others will match your frequency, right? So people are losing their faith. We're seeing it. You saw the big train wreck in Ohio, and then, I mean, I could list on and on with the corruption, but there's other YouTube videos you can watch to learn all that. And it's all about not to blame. It's just this is what's happening. This is the play of consciousness. Remember that we're evolving as a humanity. Right? So we're moving again, we're moving from this physical awareness, experiencing life through the physical, through our five senses. We moved into the mental awareness system. That was our evolution, right? Experiencing life through the mind. And now we're being called to move into this emotional awareness system, right? So this is like jumping off the Titanic into the divine. And this in turn is the solar plexus mutation, 2027, and this mutates into the spirit awareness. And this is how we'll begin to experience life through the frequency, through the vibrational. So it's not going to be a mental concept, because spirituality has been such a mental concept, right? Because of our mental awareness system. It's going to be a real live experience of the divine, of unity consciousness, right? So this is the evolutionary path of awareness. We're moving from the physical, the mental, the emotional, into the frequency, into the vibrational. So right here this is where the blocks are, the emotional body. And this gets developed from 0 to 7 years old. And all those imprints, right? All that imprinting happens 0 to 7. And this is the frequency is hitting those blocks, right? And so we're seeing that externalized, projected out onto the external, right? So it's going to get very, very emotional and very, very intense. And part of the intensity, too, I was meditating on this, is because we're letting go of these old identities, right, that are rooted in this victim consciousness. So this can feel like a pressure on you, and the pressure is to let go, right? So this new moon is showing us this. It's like echoing it even more, to let go of this victim consciousness, right? So what else do I want to say about that? I'll weave back into what you need to know. But all you need to know if you're new to this channel is this is all about your evolution as a spiritual being having human experiences. We're all waking up. It's a great awakening. And some are willingly awakening, and some are like kicking and screaming awakening, right? But just to remember that you can't hold on to this old way of being. It's a new way of being now, right? This frequency of the cross of planning is leaving, right? It's leaving. This tribal consciousness is leaving. So it's really about your authenticity right now. If you were to leave with anything, it's your authenticity is what matters, and what you're feeling inside is what matters. That's what's true, right? In the present moment. Okay, so let's look at the shadow. So it's the shadow of victim. You can see the 55.2, the moon. And then this is the solar plexus, right? So this is the center that's all about our emotions, all about our emotions. The emotional body is going through a huge mutation, right? So it's also in the sign of Pisces, right? But it's the shadow of victim. It's the gift of freedom, the city of freedom, and it's the gate of abundance. So it also correlates to prosperity. In the gate of spirit, right? So it's looking for spirit awareness. So it's part of the channel of the 3955, right? The 3955. And this is the channel of romance. It's also called the channel of emoting. So this is the shadow of provocation, the shadow of victim. And so this channel, if you have this channel, I have it myself, this one, and it's all about provoking. You don't do it with your words or any your actions. It's just part of your aura, right? So it provokes the other's aura to see if they're the right spirit for you or not. That's the whole point. So some people, you can provoke them if you have this whole channel, or if you even have the gate too. You're gonna provoke people because it's the shadow of provocation. Is some are like, well, lash out, or just, I don't want anything to do with you. And that's good, because all they're doing is the universe is showing you they're not for you. They're not for you. They're not here to help you, and you're not here to help them. They're not part of your tribe. And then the other ones that you provoke, they're the right spirit. Means that they'll be really drawn to you and attracted to you too. So it's a real gift, right, of discernment. So you're not wasting your time going down dead end roads with the wrong people that aren't part of your soul tribe, right? So so that's the channel. So that gives us information about this 55. And then the other thing is it's a line too, and it's also a color too. So it's 55.2.2. So it even goes deeper, right? These lines. And so this is all about hope. It's all about hope. And this is the divine. It's all about, is the divine real or isn't it? It's like this back and forth. So it's a really test of our faith, right? The 55 is a test of our faith. And our faith I mean, to go back to this image is like, are we going to put our faith in little g or put our faith in big G? Little g, big G. So it's like the back and forth. And you may have been experiencing this yourself because Venus was in the 55. Having doubts, right? And this is all about the 55. I mean, I can approach it in a lot of different ways. And there's the other video on Venus. You can watch that. And I think I got another one or two on my channel because so many events have been hitting this 55 because of the mutation. But I wanted to approach it in a different way this time, in more on the material, about the material, because we're all really feeling that. You know, if you go to the grocery store, right, you're seeing it with inflation. You're seeing it with your bills, right? Bills are going up, and everything seems to be going up, be going up. So it completely correlates with this 55, right? Okay. So let's go into this 55 and we'll talk about the shadow. So this is Worm Tongue from Lord of the Rings, but this is the form. I've just given a form to the ego so that you understand that this is the voice in your head, right? The voice in your head, a lot of people think that that's them, right? So this is a foreign installation. It's not you. It's not you. It's an illusion, yes, but it can seem really, really real until you're ready to let go of this ego, right? It's part of the spiritual journey. So this ego is not your friend. It's not your friend. And there's a lot of new age teachings out there. These are false light teachings, and they have the tinge of the ego, right? So freedom, this is the shadow of victim. What's the opposite of this is freedom. That's the gift, freedom. So what the ego promises with these false light teachings is like, yeah, you can be free, but with me, right? I'm going to give you my version of freedom, which is to get more money, right? To get to the law of attraction, watch The Secret, do my affirmations and get whatever I want. And I want, who's the I speaking? Is that ego. That's not freedom. That's not true freedom at all. This is the roundabout way to freedom, and it's not free. It's like an enslavement, because what you're doing is you're putting the ego into the position of God, right? So you don't want to be listening to this ego, because we all want freedom, right? At the essence of everything that we're running and chasing out in the material world, what we really want is freedom. But it's freedom from, not freedom with the ego, but freedom from the ego. That's true. That's true freedom. And that means, right, we're evolving through the emotional body, moving through those emotions, going to spirit awareness on the other side, and leaving behind the ego, right? So we can live in these states of consciousness. This is what we're learning with the solar plexus mutation. We can live perfectly fine with this ego, right? In different states of consciousness. And you've probably noticed that yourself when you're just present in the now moment, right? And you're free from this. It's spaciousness, right? It's that feeling of spaciousness and peace and quiet, right? So just keep that in mind. If true freedom is freedom from the ego. It's not freedom with the ego, right? And these false light teachings are teaching that. And this is like going to take you to a dead end road, right? So what is the ego telling you, right? What's the commentary that's going on? Well, there's not enough material resources for me with this shadow of victim. There's not enough for me. There's not enough. There's not enough. I don't have enough money, right? I'm not going to have enough money to pay my bills and pay my rent. And you know the voice, and I need to hoard and tighten my grip so that I don't lose what I have. So this fear of lack, right? Fearing losing, fear of not receiving. And my problem, because victim consciousness always needs a problem. The ego always needs a problem. Right? That there's not enough. There's not enough money. There's not enough food. There's not enough attention. There's not enough relationships. Basically, there's not enough love. right? And I need these to be free. That's what the ego is telling you. Once I have the money, once I have all the food and the attention and the relationships and whatever, the ego is telling you that you need to be free, right? This is the shadow frequency. And then it keeps you fixated on your needs. What do I need in the future, right? So the secret here, right, is because people are like, well, how do I do shadow work? How do I do shadow work? What to do? What to do? When you expand in these greater states of awareness, right, you become your vast eternal self, and that you're able to witness these dynamics. So that's the secret, is to the expansion inside, and then you're able to see, right? You're able to see and identify, oh, that voice is not me. That's my ego telling me this. Oh, look, and it's affected my behavior. So this is not an opportunity to beat yourself up when you do identify these dynamics. That right there is half the battle, is just identifying, right? Identifying the pattern, the dynamics that have been ruling you, identifying this ego that's been ruling you probably for many, 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 many years. And then what comes next, right, are these emotions. These emotions start releasing, right, from the because it goes back to the 0 to 7-year-old emotional development, right, that happened here. And we've all been conditioned, to be so fixated on the material world and fixated on the future. And remember the cross of planning. Where is it? It's all about the future and strategy and logic. And this is leftness. It's all about being in time, right? Being in the ego, being in the mind, focusing on details, completely subjugating your feelings and your intuition, all of that. That's all woo-woo. That's not real. We're leaving all of this, right? So the ego is not going to rule us anymore. So, and I always say this to people when they start listening to that ego. Am I going to have enough? Am I going to have enough? Well, I don't have enough. I don't have enough. And this lack, this fear of lack, is to bring yourself into the present moment, right? Look around. Do I have everything that I need right now in this moment? Yes, it's always yes, 100% yes. And just to trust that tomorrow will take care of tomorrow. This is how to approach now, right? With the cross of the sleeping phoenix. It's all about feeling your way through life, right? Not thinking your way, strategizing your way through life. It's about feeling your way through life. This is what you can trust, right? That doesn't feel right to me when you're watching the news and the propaganda coming at you. There's something off about this. Trust that. Trust those feelings, because you'll know when something's in truth and when it's not. Well, if you go into here, you're going to be bad at back and forth, right? With the mind. The mind is back and forth, back and forth. You want to be really embracing your feelings right now. And to really, the feelings are completely connected to your spirit and your soul, your emotional body, and connected to your intuition. But you've got to do this work, this emotional purification work. And that's what my Phoenix program's all about. Is right. Tools to really let this go. These trapped emotions go. These old identities go with it. Right? That's not you. That's not you. So that you can really be in your power for these coming years. Because you're built for this time. If you're here in this time and space right now, you've incarnated at like a pivotal time in our human history. So it's just about dusting yourself off, right? Letting go of that, everything, the illusions and the lies and the conditioning, and then you can really be a force, right, for change on the planet. And part of this energy, right, of this cross of the sleeping phoenix. Okay. So staying the ego wants you staying fixated on the needs in the future. Remember, the ego exists And it's all, the strategy of the ego is to keep you fixated on the past or the future, right? That keeps it alive. It keeps this identity alive. So fixated on the needs of the future or going back to the past, right? And then filling this emptiness with something, because what we're coming to is this spaciousness, the void, and the emptiness is becoming greater and greater and greater. So there's a big fear from the ego, wanting to fill it with something, right? Wanting to fill it with something. And this is the eternal now. It's very, very spacious. It's going back to the formless. It's going back to vibration. This is our original self, frequency, vibrational. We have to get, for the age of Aquarius. Aquarius rules. It's got the waves, but that's energy waves. We have to embrace frequency. We have to learn about frequency and vibration. Now, okay, so shadow fears lack, and there won't be enough, and fear emptiness, and your shadow feels victimized by material reality. So let's look at this 55, okay, and just a little bit deeper here too. So shadow of victim. So 55 is, it's solar plexus. So it has to do with the emotions, and the emotions are waves. It's waves of energy. That's the emotional body, which is life. Life is a wave. Life is a wave. So look at nature, right? The seasons, if you have seasons in your part of the world, right? You've got your winter and your autumn, and there seems to be a decay and a death in a sense, right? Everything turns white. There's snow. And then the spring comes and the green starts, right? And then let's look at it as a cup, right? That's when the cup starts to get filled again. If you look at the 55 like that, that's why it's abundance, right? So the cup is filled again, right? And then it empties again. This is the cycle. It empties, it's filled, empty, filled. And this is just life, right? That's what life is. We can't change that. We can't change that. So where the ego gets in is the ego starts doing its commentary, and it's all based in fear. It's to keep you in fear, and then you're contracted, right? And then when the cup is empty, then it's the fear. Well, it's not going to get filled again. You've got to do something. You have to strategize, right? You've got to listen to me. And I'm going to take you down a bunch of dead end roads that are really incorrect for you, right? Or the same token, say the cup is filled, right? The cup is filled, and there's the fear that I'm going to lose what's in the cup. I'm going to lose what's in the cup, and it won't be replenished. So, right, it's either clinging to the full cup, or in fear that cup's not going to be replenished when it's empty. Instead of just watching it, right? This is prosperity. It's watching. You're the observer, right? When you're in this state, when you're in spirit awareness, and it's the trust, right? So this is what the second line is telling us about trust. Are you going to have this frequency of hope, right? Hope that the cup will be filled again for you. The cup will be empty. When it's empty, it will be filled again. When it's filled, it's okay to let it flow. It will be replenished. It's the cycle of creation. Okay. So victimized by material reality. And remember, the ego always needs a problem. This is what this 55 is all about too. The shadow, it's like it always needs a problem to focus on. And so if you look at it, and if you believe that ego, because it's all about belief, what the ego is telling you, right? That it's not going to be replenished. There's not enough for me. I'm fearing this emptiness that's happening in my life because my identities are being shed from me. That's what the pressure is about. And the ego is like, you can't let go, but you have to let go. You have to let go to the higher forces now. It's too big now, right? To be messing with this, to try to hold on to the old. It's just like to go with the flow, right? And where these higher energies are taking us, and to really, really bring your trust in the divine. you know? And so this ego is trying to hold on to these old identities because this ego is identity, right? So let's look at the gift here. So of course this is going to come up with emotions. It's not just a mental process. If it stays a mental process for you, then you're not going to get right to this emotional awareness. Because remember, there's a lot of wisdom on the other side of the spirit awareness, and this is where the insights come. They don't come before, they come after you do this emotional work. So it will come with emotions, right? This fear of lack, that there's not enough. And what you're saying when you say there's not enough, you're actually saying I'm not enough. Me, the great spirit, me, the eternal, spiritual being having human experiences, I'm not enough. That's what you're really saying, right? So freedom, here's freedom. So freedom away from this ego, right? So staying in the present moment, I can't stress that enough. Just continually bring yourself in the present moment, especially when your mind is going crazy, bring yourself into the present moment. And what happens then, you're in the present moment, then you're leaving that ego behind, right? So you're not victimized by this ego anymore. And then the emotions start to surface. Those emotions start to surface. If we go back to the pathway of awareness, right? These emotions are then given room and permission to start to move. And that's when the transmutation happens, right, for you, where you're expanding into these greater states of awareness. So staying in the present moment, because the shadow and the ego they want stays alive when you're in the past or the future, when you're in your mind, right? You're not in your present. That means you're not feeling, because when you're in the present moment, then we're actually feeling, and that's what's real, right? And then a good affirmation to say to yourself when you feel like this lack is coming, this new moon it's telling you to let this go, to let this go. I recognize and enjoy the abundance of my life. I have enough, right? Write that down. Write that down and look at it every day when you go into this lack and scarcity consciousness that the ego wants you in and that this world wants us in, right? The world doesn't want us in our power, right? I have enough. I have enough. I'm enjoying the abundance of my life. And I don't rely on little g and all the other dying institutions to keep me safe. That's not what's going to, because this comes with huge compromising your authentic self, right? Remember, it's all about your authenticity and really putting all your trust in that, your authenticity, which is connected to your divine. It's your divinity. And true freedom is being free from the ego, not with the ego, not listening to the ego, because the ego will always be pointing out there. This is what's going to make you free. No, it starts from within, right? When you feel free within, which means free from the mind and the ego, then all the other stuff will just come to you, right? Yeah, it won't matter so much. You won't be chasing things on the external. The other thing I wanted to say too is the spiritual battle right now is for your attention, right? It's really, and it's all the tricks are coming out. That's all I see on the news and stuff. It's like, what crazy thing can they come up with next to keep us distracted? Bread and circus, right? Bread and circus with the death of the Roman Empire. And to be afraid to be right and listen to that ego. Stay contracted, stay out of your power. So your spiritual battle right now is for your attention. And where do you want to be bringing your attention? Within. They're not teaching people that. All your answers are found within. You want your attention focused here. You want to be self-referenced. Big S self-reference, not ego reference, self-referenced. That's how to make your decisions, and then use your strategy, right? Your strategy and authority with your human design type. Okay. So victim, remember with victim, Victim always thinks that something's happening, like victim consciousness, and it's very encouraged right now in our world. You can see this victimhood, very, very encouraged in our world. There's no power in victim consciousness. It's going to keep you small. It's going to keep you small, contract. It's going to keep you out of your greatness and your power, right? So remember, things happen to us. We all had our cross to bear, right? Each one of us, right? The details are different. Nobody gets away with not having some kind of victimization happen to them, but it's the details of your life. Don't let it define who you are. These things happened to me. I had these experiences in childhood, and then this happened, and then this happened, but I'm not identifying with it at all, right? But I'm going to integrate any trapped emotions that are part of these experiences so that I can walk into my power, right? That I can walk into my power. So remember, with the victim, is that your trigger is a mirror of what's really going on inside you emotionally, right? So I love this picture from Burning Man, right? He's got the mirror here. That's all you're seeing, is you're just seeing the reflection. Our world is an emotional mirror. So everything that's happening to you, right, that's happening to you, it's all about you shedding this identity, but these identities are connected to these trapped emotions. This is where the identities started to be created. We had to create these different identities. As children, it was just a coping mechanism, but they're no longer serving us anymore, right? They're actually to a detriment now for us. We have to let go of these old identities because they're not who we are, right? So the emotional mirror is these trapped emotions. So what I say to people all the time, right, is to not go into the details of what's happening in the physical. Well, this happened and this happened to me. I lost my job, or my partner left, and I'm devastated. Don't go into the details of that, because that keeps you fixated on the external. You want to go within to what are the emotions that are coming up for me? What am I feel? How do I feel about this? Right? Well, it's bringing up anger for me. I feel angry. That's your work right there. Right? This is the emotional body work. I'm feeling angry about it. And then what does this remind me of? Right? And it's going to go back to your childhood, because this is what wants to move. Emotions, right? Energy and motion. That's what wants to move. So keep that in mind. We want to embrace this new way of experiencing life now, right? Remember, it's feeling your way through life. And this is going to empower you, right? There's so much wisdom for us here, so much insights for us when we just embrace this new way of being. And you'll notice that, right? You'll just have a big clearing, and sometimes you don't even understand why you're crying. Have you ever had that experience? I don't even know why I'm crying. I'm so upset, but I'm just letting that energy move. And then an insight will come later when the clearing happened. Oh, that's what that was about. And I feel so much better. I feel freer. I feel free from this ego because I'm just let an identity go. Basically, right? That's what's happening. Okay. And we don't need to get into that. Okay. So on the other side is freedom, right? So ask yourself that question: what keeps me from freedom? What keeps me from freedom? It's going to be that mind and the ego keeping you from freedom, because it's our natural state. It's who we are. Freedom is right here, right now, right? It's about our choice. I wanted to say something I know about beliefs, right? So if you believe, this is the power of your attention. And this is why the forces that be are helping us to awaken. One, our attention, because this is the power of our attention. Whatever we place our attention on, we bring it into existence. We're creative beings, right? So whatever you're paying attention to, right? Because it's like you're paying with money, with your energy. you're going to bring that into existence, whatever it is. So you want to look at like where do I feel like I have no power? Who in my life I feel like I have no power, that I'm powerless. Well, you're going to bring that. That's a belief that you have to let go of, right? That you're bringing that, and then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy because it just reinforces itself. Oh, I'm powerless around this person, or I'm powerless around money, whatever you feel victimized by, right? You want to not go into belief, right? You want to catch these dynamics, and it's just about seeing them. It's about seeing them. As soon as you see them, then the emotions start to move, right? Okay. Okay, I want to look at some comments, and then I want to go into the tarot. Here. Okay. Okay. So Satnam, Karen. Talk to Karen. 60 degrees in New York. It's cold here, too. Okay. Florida, Love Heart Light. Rachel Reed, Satnam. It's a constant stream, yeah. But remember, everyone, that we're only given as much as we can handle at one time, you know? And it's this wave that I'm talking about, the up and down, the up and down. Don't listen to the mind and the ego that wants you fixated on, well, I always want to feel this. It's it's the up and down until you do this emotional purification work, right? Then the ups and downs aren't so extreme anymore. That's what I've noticed doing my own emotional purification work, is that I'm able to feel the peace even behind, if I'm doing some deep emotional work from childhood that's surfacing, then now I'm able to be in that state of consciousness where it's peace, I'm able to feel deeply what it is, but I don't attach to it. I just let it move through me, right? That you're able to stay in this state of consciousness, right? Stay in this state of consciousness as you do your emotional work. That you don't get identified with the anger, the fear, or the grief. You just let it move through you. Okay. Shaima's going through it hardcore too. Vienna, Gabby Stein. Hungry for my path. Yeah. Tired, confused, and exhausted. Okay. Okay. Yeah, don't give up. Okay. Rebar, I look forward to Saturn and Pluto's transit. It depends. Yeah, because Saturn's moving into Pisces and Pluto's dipping its toe into Aquarius for a couple months. Yeah. When you remember too, we're in the 29th degree of Capricorn Pluto, and that's a major, right? Because it's about to hit, right? So 29-degree Capricorn. So it's bringing up lots and lots of stuff for us to look at. And remember the mirror, right? It's an emotional mirror, but for the collective too, it's an emotional mirror for the collective of humanity. So just enjoy it, right? Enjoy what you're seeing. Don't get caught up in the illusion of it, right? This world, the Maya. But I find it's exciting too. Like, yes, I can get down when I'm when you go into that, when the victim wants to take over, it's like, oh, we're so powerless. And it's just to remember, right, with this second line here is the hope. That's what this new moon is saying, the hope. And it's having faith. It's putting your 100% faith in the divine, right? Off the material world. This is shifting sands, the material world right now. It's shifting sand. It always has been, but it's really being shown to us. Okay. 4-6 projector from France. Thank you. Yeah. Love, heart, light. That's right. If that's victim consciousness, when you start to listen to that voice that's saying don't have faith and it's not real, that nothing's happening in the world, the dark is taking over the light, whatever that is, it's not to believe it into existence, right? It's to trust and have faith in the divine. Have faith in your own inner light, in your own inner light. Okay. I know it's the thing, eh? As soon as you think that you hit rock bottom, you're hitting another rock bottom. Because healing happens in a spiral. Because a lot of people want to go linear. That's the mind. Well, I already did that already. I already healed that. Why is this coming back? Well, you're going deeper because it's a spiral. You're going deeper and deeper and deeper when you're ready, when you can handle it. That's what I noticed. It's like not to get into this Neptunian energy, 36.2 right there off the solar plexus. That's all about feeling overwhelmed, the fear of being overwhelmed by your emotions. I can't handle this. Who's saying that? Is this ego? I can't handle these emotions because I'm going to disappear, right? Another identity is going to leave. I'm going to leave. I'm going to lose power over you. That's who's afraid, right? The shadow and the ego, they're the same, right? They're the same. Yeah. Okay. Satnam C.A. Patterson, Massachusetts. Okay. Yeah. And remember with the victim too, that's a good point, Chima, is that it's a choice. And the victim doesn't want to hear that, right? The victim consciousness does not want to hear that. It's all, I have no choice. We all have a choice in each and every moment. It's just about bringing yourself back into the present moment, right? For freedom. I'm going to stay in the present moment. Okay, the victim's trying to take over right now, and it's like, and you go to choice. I'm choosing. Do you see how empowering this is? I'm choosing to go to this job. I'm choosing to stay in this relationship, right? That you have a choice. That you have a choice. Okay. And go back to your childhood stuff, Rachel Reed, right? Feeling victim to family bullying. This is how you felt when you were a child. It's all serving you, right? The life is serving you to bring up these old emotions so that you can finally feel them and then not let them go. And then you'll notice that the family bullying gets more diluted or disappears entirely. Okay. Okay. Yeah. But you're never at square one, right? You're just going deeper and deeper. No, I've never been to India for a spiritual journey. I had an astrocartography reading, and intuitively I knew this. Like I wasn't, because I had opportunities to go to India. For some reason, it's like, no, I can't. I don't feel called to go, even though I love the culture. My comfort food is Indian food for sure. Everything about India, right? I love. And the astrocartography said never ever go to India. Like it's not a good place for you. It's not a good place for you energetically. Yeah. Okay. So let's go to the tarot here. And I've spent many past lives in India. Okay. So let me so this is the reading that I did. Let's put me aside here. Before I hopped on here for this new moon, which was really interesting. So it fits with some of the comments that you've already been sharing. So because I always like to just pick one card for for each position, right? And then this one just like this bound out. So right, the devil card, nobody likes looking at the devil card. The devil card to me is the ego. That's the ego. So this is where we are now in relationship to this shadow of victim and the gift of freedom, right? And the question is, do I have faith in the divine or not? Right. So the what's this saying here? Well, the Six of Swords is like move on. It's time to move on from this energy, this devil energy. So the devil energy is, we'll bring it back to this 55, is the material, right? This is codependency. It's attachments, it's addictions to the material world. And this is how this devil energy, ego energy, keeps you enslaved, right? Keeps you enslaved to the material world. It's also our shadow. And it can you can see this as limiting beliefs, letting go of limiting beliefs, letting go of your shadow and your fears, like really go into that fear of lack, that there's not enough for me, that I won't be taken care of, right? There could be some ancestral stuff coming up, ancestral memories releasing from your unconscious mind of not surviving in past lives, right? This is part of our work too. It goes beyond the child stuff. It goes back to past lives. It goes back to our ancestral shadow patterns, and all of these are being released right now for this, because there's a huge transformation happening on the planet, like frequency wise, right? Bringing the darkness into the light, which is the darkness of the unconscious. The unconscious is being made conscious, right? But it's moving away from this attachment. So, and moving forward to whatever you feel has power over you. That's the victim consciousness. Like what has power over me? Where do I lose it? Where do I make compromises? Where do I get triggered? Right? It's calling us to move away from that for this new moon. Yeah. Right. Any toxic influences. This rules addictions too. And letting go of what doesn't serve you. Right. And it's connected to relationships because we have the Two of Cups here underneath. So the thing is, when we start to move forward in our life, and I've noticed this in myself, the mind and the ego, the subconscious can create an obstacle for you. And this is what's saying to relationships, just because it's codependency, we're letting go of our codependent nature. And the spiritual definition of codependency to me is putting something in between you and the divine, right? You're making whatever that is, and we're going to say it's a person. I'm going to make this person God, the divine, to me. I'm going to give my power over to this person. I'm going to give my power over to relationship. And it's a big, big distraction that the ego creates, right? The ego can create this stuff. Suddenly you're growing, you're evolving, and you're going to move forward on your journey. Like you're really stepping into your power. Someone shows up. Maybe someone from your past shows up. Maybe somebody that looks perfect, right? There's this projection on this person. Oh, they're my soulmate, right? They're perfect for me. To me, it's like a warning to watch this new moon, you know? So it means making what's your priority in this lifetime? Is it to fall in love and have this perfect idealized life, right, according to the ego and what freedom is? I'm going to be in this loving relationship and we're going to be like two peas in a pod and I'm going to be all comfortable because that's what the ego promises, security and comfort, right? Or am I got my eye on the prize, which is I'm here to do my spiritual journey. This is what's most important to me, is the divine. I'm married to the divine first, and then the other person comes. And that will keep you clear, you know? That will keep you clear. And you'll know right away if the person's right for you, if they're supporting your spiritual journey or not. Or are they pulling you away, trying to pull you away, right, from your spiritual journey, right? Oh, you don't have to meditate, or let's stay up late, and they sabotage your sadhana or something like that, right? So you want to watch this. Like, it's about the commitment. I'm committing to my spiritual journey. This the reason why I'm on this planet, right? So to watch that, just because it's connected with this devil card, right? That's what I see. This code, like, leave this codependency behind, right? Leave the codependency behind. And it means like letting go of all the belief systems, because we got the unlearning card too. And that's the ego. That's the ego trap here. Of you're a big loser if you're not in a relationship and you're not married or have children by a certain age, right? We're letting all that go. To look at the trap, there's traps, right? We're in a big spiritual test right now. So that's a warning, right? And doesn't mean like the perfect relationship's not going to come for you, but it's just you have to make that commitment, and then the perfect relationship will come. But otherwise, a test will come. We're always being tested, you know, of are we going to have faith in the divine or not? And this is such an exit door strategy for the ego. I've noticed this myself, right? All the times that I've been really like moving forward on my journey, and then someone shows up, right? Now I see them a mile away. And then let's look at the block here. And this is the 9 of Wands, right? So this is the block, and this is weariness, right? I'm so tired, right? It's like the spiritual battle weariness. It's like what other thing's gonna happen to me now, right? I just want to give up. I want to throw in the towel, right? And this is the test of faith. Right, this is the wear you down, right? It's the totally wear you down. And what are you wearing down? Is this, right? This is what's getting worn down. To let go, right? To trust and let go of that identity. So this is saying that persevere, like to be persevere. This is a test of faith, test of your faith, and look at all the things, because it's victim, right? It's got that. It's going to be your core victim story, whatever that is, what your core belief is, and the test will come. Am I going to give up? Am I going to give into this? Am I going to give into this, right? Or am I going to pick up the sword and be the spiritual warrior? Yeah. And it's also about setting boundaries too. This one, setting boundaries. So don't give up. This is the message: is don't give up. You're almost to the finish line, and you want to stand firm in your commitment and tap into your own inner strength. What I always look at it too, because my ego will come in. I mean, it doesn't come in as much as it used to, but it used to come in. It's like, just give this up. It's too hard, right? It looks a lot easier. It's the comparison, right? The ego, the grass is always greener. Look, they've got it really easy. Like, just get a job, and it's not gonna pressurize you. You can kind of just blend in, be a wallpaper person, right? This is the thoughts that used to come up, and it sounds really good, right? Because the ego is always promising comfort and security and easy, right? And easy, and it's all about tapping into your own inner strength. And what I used to say to myself is, I'm too down the rabbit hole now to turn back. Do you know, when you've gone so far, it's like it's more of an effort to try to go back to the past, right? So it's okay. I'm going to keep going. That's my commitment. So this is saying to persevere, right? And that there will be a test of faith. That's all it is, are these tests, right? And the universe is doing it to see how strong you are, right? To see how strong you are in your faith. And then you're given more power, right? More power. Because power comes with responsibility. Okay, so watch that. And then the 8 of Wands is the spiritual lesson. And this is movement. There's so many planets now. They're all in direct, and they're coming out of shadow. Jupiter's out of shadow now, and we're moving forward fast, right? So this is saying to go with these higher forces that are coming in for us after this new moon in Pisces. Pisces, right? It's the end. It's the last of the zodiac, right? It's the end, and we're going to be coming into Pisces season, and then into Aries soon enough, right? So this is about moving forward, right? So aligning yourself and going with where life is taking you, to trust that, right? Okay. Very, very fast moving energy. And then the action to take here is the Page of Swords. The Page of Swords. So this is saying, and it's also Mercury and Sagittarius too. That's all. It's like an expansion of your mind, right? And your optimism, right? Expansion of your optimism, looking into the future, right? Trusting. Not letting anything stop you. Not letting any codependent relationship stop you. Because you can't carry anyone either, right? With codependency. And this is another shadow pattern that we're letting go of for this new cross of the sleeping phoenix. So this is new messages, right? For you. So new ideas, right? New ideas. And I like that this page, could be a her or a him, is looking back, right, with that sword and being discerning, right? Discerning on your journey. Does this serve me? Or does this person serve me on my journey, in a sense, their consciousness? Or does this job serve me? Like really discerning with this sword, with the Page of Swords. So it's about moving forward on what interests you. And so letting the insights come, right? Those intuitive messages come to you and be able to act on them with this Eight of Wands. And looking at too, because that's the ego trap, is this unlearning. So we learn things, right? We've learned things through our life. This is saying to unlearn. There's something to unlearn. So the Page of Swords is connected to this. There's something to unlearn that's connected to this devil energy and the Two of Cups with these relationships. Letting go of conditioning, letting go of old beliefs. So this is really about this state of awareness. There's so much power in your state of awareness to see these dynamics. And that as soon as you see them, they start to dissolve, right? They'll start to dissolve. And what have you been taught about relationships? By your mother, by your father, by your grandmother, your grandfather, and so on and so on. Let go of all of these beliefs that you've inherited. Remember, all of our institutions are changing and shifting. The same with our relationships are changing and shifting too, how we relate to one another, right? So yeah, it's about unlearning all this old stuff, all this old tribal consciousness of the bargain. What is marriage? The traditional marriage is rooted in tribal consciousness. This was all about procreation. How can we have all these systems in place so we can procreate and create as many humans as we can? That was the cross of planning. Now all this is disappearing, right? We're going to be coming together for different reasons. The 55 is connected to the 59. They're programming partners, right? The 55 and 59. 59 is all about mating. The 59-6, the channel of mating. That's going through a mutation. We're coming together for different reasons. It's not going to be the bargain, right? The bargain of marriage was about bringing up children, right? Creating as many children as we can. That's all shifting. So what do these new relationships look like? Well, we don't know, right? It's this consciousness that's moving through each one of us, but we're going to be coming together. The chart tells us we're going to be coming together for different reasons, right? So the reason your mother came together with your father is going to be a different reason, right? And a lot of these relationships, our parents' relationship, it was all karma. It was all karmic. And it could have been, the karma could have been to bring you in, right? Bring you as a soul in. So letting go of all these beliefs and letting go of these codependent relationships, right? We have to be self-sovereign, hold on to ourselves. The Aquarian age, right? This new age of Aquarius relationship. Yeah. So I feel with the Page of Swords, it's just like getting really, really clear with your mind. And mental clarity comes after you've done this emotional work, right? And the mental clarity means you're connected to the mind of God, right? Your intuition is online and on point. Okay. That's good. When I start to go into the readings. So does everybody know their type? And we'll start to do the human design types. Oh, I thought I downloaded that. Okay. Okay, so let's go to the types. Yeah. Yes, that's a good point that Rebar is saying. No, even the codependency on a spiritual teacher or a guru, right, is not. And remember that any teacher, because the prophecy is that everybody and his dog's grandmother is going to be coming out and saying they know the way, and I've got all the answers. You just need to follow me and do what I say. Is we can't even be codependent on those people. Do you see all the traps? Even that's a spiritual trap. So any teacher that's not teaching you to go back within, go back to yourself, go back to your inner guru, your own inner teacher, you don't want to be following them, right? You don't want to be following them. It's like total trust in your inner self, in your inner light, to have that trust. And even with me, don't believe anything I say. Like, bring it inside you. Is Michael speaking the truth or not? How do I know? There's going to be a frequency inside you. Like, yeah, right? So truth is not something you learn. It's something you recognize, right? You recognize. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's all about standing in our power now, you know? Yeah. There's a great story. I think that's appropriate to just because of that comment, C.A. Patterson. Is there's a story of because of spiritual people, right? You want to be kind, you want to be compassionate, but there's this thing around boundaries. That's what this card's about too, right? This Nine of Wands is about setting boundaries. So there's this story, this old ancient Indian story. There's a little village, and there was a cobra. You may have heard this story before. There was a cobra, and he was completely terrorizing this little village. So they called in this old master, the old Indian master. Like, can you do something about this cobra? He's been terrorizing. He's not letting people come in, and he's biting people. And so the master said, "Okay, I'll come." So he travels. Right, he travels. He finally arrives at the village, and they point the cobra's out there. Right, he's at the outskirts of town. So the master goes and he communicates to the cobra, and he asks the cobra, "Why are you terrorizing the villagers? Why are you doing this?" And the cobra said, "Well, I take great pleasure and joy at biting people and terrorizing them. I really gain a lot of pleasure from it." And the master said, "Well, take great pleasure in being good and kind and compassionate." Right? So the cobra said, okay, I'll be kind and compassionate. So months later, he comes back and he goes to the edge of town, and there's the cobra, and the cobra's all beaten up and mangled, and right, he's scratched, and he just looks horrible. And the master said to the cobra, "What happened?" And he said, "I was kind and compassionate, like you said, but they were throwing rocks at me, and they lifted me up and threw me on the ground." And the master said, "Well, I never told you not to hiss, right? I didn't tell you not to hiss." So this is what we have to remember too with this bullying. It sounds like people are going through family bullying. You can hiss, right? So you can be kind and compassionate doesn't mean you're a doormat, right? That you're able to stand up for yourself. That's what the Nine of Wands is saying. This is the hiss, right? Like this is This behavior doesn't work for me. I love you, but the behavior, no, it doesn't work for me. Right? And then you give a consequence. If you continue to do this, then I'm not going to, whatever, right? Boundary 101. So you want to hiss. Give yourself permission to hiss. Okay. And a lot of people that step over our boundaries, they don't really know, they don't know boundaries themselves, right? Okay. Okay, let me get the overlays here, and we'll start with generators. So again, if you don't have your chart, or if you're not familiar with the system, go to the link in my information box, and you can get your free chart. Okay, so generators. So this is all about your aura type, the flavor of your aura. So there's 5 aura types in human design. So depending on your location, all your birth information, it's going to give you what type you are. So 70% of the world are generators. And so they have the open, 70% are generators and manifesting generators, but I separate them for the reading. There's a little difference between the two. But generators are 35% of the world. So most people are generators. So open and enveloping aura. And they're all about responding to life. So what their strategy is they have their sacral. That's the sacral right there. Right there. So if this were a generator chart, this is a transit chart. The red side is the unconscious. That if it were colored in there, that would be the sacral, right? And that means they have a consistent energy. So they're here to work, like they love to work, generators, but at things that they love to do. So their sacral will speak in a yes or a no, right? So the generators, I'm not a generator, I'm a projector. The generators that I talk to, they say that it feels like I'm being pulled into an experience. That means yes, right? I'm being pulled in energetically to this experience. Or the no is like I feel repelled. I feel repelled by that experience. That's a no. So that can help you, right? The yes means it's correct for you, whatever the experience is. And we've got the 36, 35. This is all about going from inexperience to experience. The 35's in Mars, right? Yeah. 35's in Mars, 36 is in Neptune. Okay, so what do we have for our generator friends? What message do we have for our generator friends? That one. 2 want to come out. And then we'll see the ego card. Okay. Oh, goodness. Okay. So it's interesting. The generators, if we go back to the big, what's coming up here? Interesting, too, the Venus and the 55, the tarot reading that I did, the 8 of Wands was underneath here in the 2 of Cups position, and now it's up there for this new moon. I'm going to watch these connections. Anyway, the generator got the 2 of Cups, so relationships. And then the King of Wands. We'll see what the ego, what the crazy talk the ego is telling you. Okay, what's the ego telling the generators? What's the ego telling the generators, please? There we go. Okay. Mercury in the 3rd. Oh no, Mercury in the 12. Okay. So the generators. Okay. So you may be feeling victimized in your relationships. We're talking about the shadow of victim generators because you've got the Two of Cups, so that's relationships. And then the King of Wands, there. So that could be a person, right? Too. But it's about being the King of Wands in your own life. So the leader, the visionary, they're self-confident, looking at long-term success. It's a leadership card. Okay. Just because it's on the bottom, I want to bring it back to this, that you may be in some kind of trap in the relationships because we got the devil and the Two of Cups, and then it's being echoed here. Yeah. And maybe you're not claiming your power, your own power in relationship. Yeah. Not being the leader of your own life, like giving your power over to someone else that you're in relationship with. So I would go to response, right? And then you've got the shut it down card. That's the ego trap card. And this is going cold. It's not opening up your heart, not opening up your heart in relationship. And so the sutra that's connected to there's 5 sutras for the Aquarian age, and this one's understand through compassion or misunderstand the times. Yeah. Let's see here. What do we got for the generators? The moon and the 9th. Yeah. I don't know. It feels like you're not your response and your sacral saying yes, but you're not. You're following your mind and your ego. That's the sense I get, generators. That you're not listening. You're not obeying your response, your sacral response, and it's around relationships. And you may be compromising yourself in relationships. Yeah. And the King of Wands is like it's time to take your power back, right? That others are looking to you for leadership, and you're hiding. It feels like you're hiding behind a relationship, another person. Yeah. In lethargy, right? This is the shadow of the King of Wands is to be lethargic, right? To just be apathetic and not take your role. Because this is all about our soul purpose time too, you know? Yeah. And also you got because I got the Astro dice here too, you got Mercury in the 12th house. So that's letting go of these old ways of communication, right? Because it goes back to this on learning, this old way of communicating. So maybe you've been wanting to say something, right? But you've got these belief patterns from your past lives, from your ancestors, that are like, I better not say that. I better not say that. I better not say that. Even though your response is like, yes, say this, communicate this, right? So to me, it's about letting go, right? Letting go of being small and shutting down your own heart. And when you shut down your heart, you're going to shut down your intuition. It's like you're a cripple, when you shut down your heart, because your heart is the Google translator of your intuition. It's going to translate what your intuition is communicating to you. Yeah. Yeah. So what's stopping you? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm going to ask you with the King of Wands. What's stopping you from stepping into your power? Clearly, you've got a vision. Like, what's stopping you? It's going to be around relationships, right? So this is the promise the ego tells us too, right? Well, you'll be free when you're in a relationship. Means you can do your soul purpose when I've got that relationship, when I've got that security, right? And it's just a big postponement trap. It's a postponement trap. Okay. From doing your soul purpose. I just want to do one more ego card here. What do we got for the generators and victim? Yes, boom, bingo. Just needed that validation. So avoiding your soul purpose generator, just like I said, right? And you're shutting down your heart, means you're not listening to your intuition, right? She's got the fingers in her ears, right? And then these cards are like, it's time to move, right? It's time to step, take the mantle of responsibility. Come to do what I've come to do, right? On my soul journey, do my soul purpose. And this is like the ego's like hop back. This is about hopping back into the matrix in the relationships, right? Yeah. Okay. So remember that you can't avoid your destiny, and to start listening. Yeah. And to dig up that victim story, right? I can't because, right? There's a good exercise to do that too. It's, okay, what's the vision? What's the intuition that's been coming to you, generator, for your vision for the future, right? And it's like, what's the excuse that comes next? That will be your victim story. You want to dig up the victim story. This is the unlearning, right? Letting go of this victim story. And that victim story always correlates to an identity. And it's connected to this ego, right? It's connected to the ego. Yeah. Because the King of Wands is like confident, right? Confident. I have everything I need. I don't lack. I don't lack anything. Relationships aren't there. I still don't lack. I don't lack anything. Everything is inside me that I need, is to have that confidence. The King of Wands knows that. So you want to really embrace that King of Wands energy, because that's the leader. That's the leader. And it starts with becoming your own leader in your own life. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Things are moving forward. Yeah. And make your goals higher. Like I said before, it's to remember why you're on the planet, and it's not to be comfortable. It's not to be comfortable and secure. That's not your goal, is to be comfortable and secure. That's actually the opposite. It's like it's the complete opposite. You're here to grow and evolve, and that means that you have to get uncomfortable sometimes, right? Yeah. So bring the focus back to you. It's like bring the focus back to you and your soul purpose, and off other people. Take the focus off other people. Yeah. Okay. That's what I got for the generator. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, that's the way to go. So you know what? It's about being in the world, but not of the world. Okay? We're spiritual beings having human experiences. Where we get trapped and where the ego wants to trap us is in the human, right, is in the human and getting trapped there. And trapped in the material world and trapped in the matrix, right? Okay. Let's do manifesting generators right here. So that's the other 35% of the generator family. And we'll see what we have, message we have for them. So where the manifesting generators can feel victimized is through impatience, feeling impatient. That if anything, a teaching for the manifesting generator is to take a pause, right? Take a second, a minute to go within, check their own inner authority. Okay. Let's see here. What do we got for the manifesting generators? What do we have for the manifesting generators? That one here. Let's see the card here. So for the ego trap card, you got the guilt card. It's one of the 6 primal wounds of humanity. That completely goes with the Pisces archetype is guilt. Okay. So this is turning that victim on yourself, right? Feeling victimized by a past mistake. And so what the ego says is that you have to sacrifice yourself to pay off that guilt. Okay, what's the what do we got for the manifesting generators? What do we have for the manifesting generators, please? Okay. And then we'll go here. Okay. Neptune, no Pluto. Okay. So you got the Hanged Man there, the Hanged Man. This is the Enlightenment card too, is the Hanged Man. So guilt. So it's showing you that you need to take a whole new perspective on some kind of past mistake you've made. And so this can go deep, right? It can go deep within. It can be an unconscious pattern, right? We're clearing these ancestral patterns. So this is not forgiving yourself for a past mistake and then going into sacrifice. And this is what the ego says, right? It's like you need to sacrifice yourself, right? In some way to pay off this guilt. So this is where we get back to the codependency, because we got this devil energy here, right? This codependent card in the 2 of Cups is you'll seek someone out, right? The ego will seek someone out. I'm going to seek out a victim, right? I'm going to seek out someone that's been victimized, which is everybody on the planet, right? Or somebody that wants to stay really stuck in their victim. And I'm going to sacrifice myself. I'm going to give and I'm going to give and I'm going to give some more and give. And that other person that's trapped in their victim consciousness, it's like never enough. It's never enough. They're a black hole, right? For receiving the energy that you're giving. And so you got to look at it in truth, right? In terms of your relationships. It's like, okay, why am I giving? Why am I giving? This is what self-awareness is. It's about becoming aware of your patterns and your dynamics. Why am I giving to that person? What's my true motivation? Dig this up. Oh, I'm trying to pay off this guilt. I feel guilty about something. I don't know what it is, you know? And so if you've come in with that primal wound, right? It's a 5th line. That's guilt. Then right? It's going to be so part of your dynamic manifesting generator. So it's just about forgiving yourself. And you may say, Michael, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I just feel this guilt all the time, right? Or I feel guilt around this particular person because you got Pluto in the 11th, right? With the Astro dice. So that's a friendship, right? Some kind of friend that you're feeling this guilt over. And you got Pluto. So it's going to be very like deep, right? Emotional that you're transforming this guilt. But the hangman is to say pause, right? Manifesting generators are not good at pausing. It's like press the pause button, have an evening just to yourself, turn off the social media, all the distractions, and just sit with yourself and like ask yourself, what is this guilt about? Right? Why do I keep attracting these friends that are victims that always need me to come and save them? Right? Why? Soon as you answer the question, not answer the question, ask the question. This is the secret. Projectors need to know this too. As soon as you ask a question, you're down here, you're in the vibrational frequency when you ask a question, because your mind will start doing its thing, right? But it starts traveling down through this pathway of awareness, and the answer will come back up, right? But it's the question, when you ask the question and you don't put a mental strain on it, like I've got to figure this out and I've got to strategize. I just ask the question. The answer will come in its own time, right? So ask yourself that, right? And it's about surrender. It's about pausing, right? It's about, I'm going to ask the question, why do I feel so guilty? Why do I attract these friends, these like Plutonian friends, which means they bring up a lot of like deep emotions. Like they bring up this guilt in me. Why do I feel so guilty around these particular people, this network of people, or a friend or two friends, you know? And then the answer will come, the insight will come. But again, with guilt, right? Emotions will come. Emotions will come with this guilt, you know? And really, with guilt, is you're trying to do the divine's job. You're trying to do God's job, right? Oh, I've got to save that person. I have to save that person. Not trusting that we're all connected to the divine. We all have our unique connection to the divine, right? We're all in God's hands. And to let that go, and let it go by forgiving yourself for a past mistake, right? And this is going to let go of an identity as the savior. Maybe you're the savior with your friends, right? I'm the one everybody comes to. Well, why are my friends so needy? Well, it's because of this, right? This guilt that you have to let go of. Yeah. Yeah. And then you're free, right? And then you'll be free. But the secret is to pause with the hangman, to pause and look at things from a different perspective. And again, if we go back to this, right, it's on learning something you learned in childhood, because you probably felt guilty, right? The 0 to 7 years old felt guilty for some reason. And you may have been taught, right, by a parent. That's another way to look at it too, to look at your parents, like what parent, maybe the mother or the father, went into sacrifice because they felt guilty about something. We can come in with guilt too, right? Okay. What else? And then the response. I mean, go back to your response with a yes or no to help people. If somebody's calling you up in a panic about something, take a pause and go to your sacral. What's my sacral saying? Saying yes or no. And then you obey that, right? Or saying no, then you can communicate to the friend. No, this doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel aligned with me. But right, I trust that you'll figure this out on your own, right? Because as soon as you put somebody in a victim box, you're putting yourself in a victim box too. right? Whatever you feed and pay attention to, you're paying attention to that same energy, that same consciousness within you. So if you see people as victims, then you're feeding your own inner victim, right? That's how it works energetically. Okay, anything else for manifesting generators? No, that's it. Okay. So let's go to projectors. Okay. Okay. Okay, projectors. Okay. So that's 20% of the population, and they have the absorbing and focused aura, the projectors. So they have to be invited. That's their strategy, is to be invited. And I just want to stress to people, this is the time to start going within. It's the information age. And as projectors, we know this, right? We're information junkies, projectors. And this can be a big distraction, is right? Is taking pride in all the information and all the facts that I know, and I know this and I know that, right? And where's that keeping you? That keeps you in the mental, keeps you away from this. This is the real work. And this work can only be done alone. It's a lonely job, right? Nobody else can go and feel for you. Only you can feel for yourself. So it's about checking in with your energy. Why am I seeking? Why am I seeking more information, more knowledge? Is this ego in my ear telling me you're not enough? This is all about lack, right? The 55 is all about lack. That you're not enough. I need more information. I need more knowledge. Instead of like, no, I have everything that I need. It's already inside me. And I just have to go within, right? I have to go within. I have to go through that tunnel. Right? There's an inner teacher within you that's waiting for you. Right? When are you going to stop looking outside for all your answers? When are you going to start going within? Right? Going within. And there's a million and there's a billion, there's billions and billions of distractions out in the world right now. Okay, what do we got for our projector friends? What's that ego telling the projectors? Oh, anger. Projectors got some anger. That's usually for the manifestors. Anger. So what are you angry about, projectors? Ask yourself that. Where are you feeling victimized by your anger? What's the card for the projectors? Tell me what the card is for the projectors. It's that one right there. Okay. And we'll see here. Go for the projectors. North Node. 9th house. Okay. So you got the anger card, the anger ego trap, and then you got the Ace of Cups. It's all about love. Ace of Cups in this reading is all about self-love, projectors. It's all about self-love. So anger, you got to go back to. So anger if we look at this like fear, fear is a frequency. It's all emotions are frequencies. So fear is a frequency. It's held in the physical body. The emotional body is grief, right? Grief, the energy of grief. That's why it's the end. It's always the end with the layer cake. It goes from fear, and then anger is the mental. Anger belongs in the mind. So this is about your mind. So it's a conflict found within the mind, projectors. And projectors are not, because they're such a new type, right? The projector is a new type with discovery of Uranus, right? That's when the projector type started to come online. And so they're not understood, especially living in a generator world, right? 70% of the world are generators, 20% are projectors. They're a rare bird and they're not understood. Generators are go, 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 go. Work, 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 work. And projectors can't operate like that. You don't have that consistent energy. Like I said before, if you look at it as a car, you know, the generator, manifesting generator wakes up in the morning, they got the full tank of gas. The projector wakes up every morning, they got a quarter tank of gas, right? So they don't have that energy that the generators have. So the generators can be very judgmental towards the projectors. Like that, look at that lazy layabout. What are they doing? Right? And there's the projector trying to prove themselves, right? Chances are they were born into a generator family, just statistically, and that they had to prove themselves, right? The work, 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 and then exhaust themselves, exhaust, and completely go against their type, go against their authenticity. And why were they doing that? For this, for that cup, right? They want that cup filled by their caretakers. They want to be loved unconditionally. So that's really where the anger is coming from, because we want to go to the root, projectors. Right? No more distractions now. We don't have time for distractions. And projectors are all about efficiency. Wouldn't you rather hear this than go and, you know, spend years and years learning about where's this anger coming from? It's like, this is where it's coming from. The 0 to 7 years old. That's when the imprinting took place, right? Believe me or not, but just have the experience. And what's underneath that anger? Well, there's going to be a lot of grief for not being loved, right? Not receiving that love. This is the currency for the 0 to 7-year-old, right? Your parents didn't understand. Your caretakers didn't understand. That's why I always get excited doing readings for parents for their children and their projectors, because most of them are coming out as projectors. So many projectors readings that I've done, and 6 lines too. Those are the role models for the new age of Aquarius. So just allowing yourself to, where's that anger coming from? So certain people will bring, members the emotional mirror. So certain people are going to bring that up in your field, right? That emotional mirror right there, right? So don't go into like who's making me angry. There's so much, I'm feeling so much anger around this person or that person. This is why, because they do this and they do that, and then all the judgment, that's all pointing outside. You want to bring it back inside. It's all about going inside now, projectors, right? And then feel the anger. It's about feeling the anger. That other person is just a messenger. It's like, look at them as a messenger. They're just reflecting back to you, so that anger can come up inside you. That anger was there well before you met that person, because it goes back to childhood. And then you just feel it, right? You just feel it. So you allow it to be there, right? You don't try to get rid of it, because the ego will try to get rid of it. You go inside, you just feel it. I'm just going to feel this anger to the end. And underneath that anger is lots and lots of grief, right? From that child that wasn't loved unconditionally. Yeah. And it's mental. It's a mental story that you're telling yourself. And that's what keeps you in anger. Do you see that? That's how we're kept away from our emotional work, the mind is making up all these stories about why I'm angry, right? Because it goes back to this 55. 55, the shadow of victim doesn't want you to feel empowered, right? It makes you feel victimized. That when you're in the shadow frequency, I'm victimized by my emotional state. I'm angry right now, and I'm going to stay in it, right, through the mind and the mental stories instead of just letting it flow. Okay. So, and then the astro dice here. You got the North Node, which means karmically to go there, right? North Node, karmically to go there into the ninth house. So this is about expanding your mind and creating new stories, you know, and letting go of this identity. Nobody understands me, whatever the projector, what you're telling yourself, nobody understands me. I've got to be, in order to be accepted and loved, I've got to be this identity, this workaholic, right? I've got to do all of these things to please other people. I've got to prove myself to other people, right? It's to let all that go. And the expansion of the mind is going to happen because it's not just going to happen spontaneously. It will happen after you go through here, right? Your mind's not going to expand. You're not going to go into this state of freedom and expansion unless you go through there first. We're evolving through the emotional body. So it's just to feel that anger and to give yourself permission to feel, yeah, that's a good reason for me to be angry as a child. I wasn't accepted for who I am, right? This is who I am. How unfair that is, whatever. It's just about giving yourself permission to feel, but don't get locked into any kind of victim story, right? Don't feel victimized by this anger. Yeah, because that ego wants you to stay in the story. So it's feeling without the story, without creating a story around it. And then this expansion will happen with the ninth house. Optimism, the ninth house, new stories, new beliefs, right? New beliefs, letting go of these old beliefs, the unlearning these old beliefs. Anything else for the projector? It's the bitterness too, right? Like that's the signature of the non-self projector when they're not waiting to be recognized, not honoring themselves, not recognizing themselves, not valuing themselves, right? It's the bitterness. It's the bitterness. Yeah. That's what that anger card is pointing towards. So you want to feel successful. That's the ninth house. And love yourself. Give yourself what your caretakers didn't give you, right? Which is total acceptance, 100% acceptance. This is who I am. I'm not the workaholic generator. I don't have that kind of energy. I need to nap. I need to relax, right? I need to study, right? Just what all the needs you have as a projector. I don't need to give. I only give to the people that invite me, that value me and invite me. I value my energy, my quarter tank of energy. And the people are going to start looking to projectors more and more as we enter into this age of Aquarius. Okay. Yeah. Because the generator, the old way of being, right? Because that egos get neutered for the cross of the sleeping phoenix. The old ways aren't going to work even for the generators, right? To go and run around and without following their strategy and authority and waste their energy. They're just not good. We're seeing it with the travel restrictions and everything. That's just a reflection that's saying to people to stop, especially the generators. It's time to stop, right? And this is when they're going to start to face themselves, and they're going to need guides. They're going to need help, and they're going to be looking to the projectors for wisdom, right? Um, Okay. So don't get trapped, right? The anger is victim. It's keeping yourself a victim. That you can transcend this. You have choice. Okay. Anything else? Okay, that's it for projectors. Okay, let's go for manifestors. So this is 9%. 9% of the world are manifestors. So they've got the closed and repelling aura manifestors. And you're here to initiate, you're here to have an impact, right? So it's about listening to divine guidance, informing. So you got the divine guidance, you got the intuitive hit, and then you inform. So who's going to be impacted? That's the question you ask. Manifestors aren't good at this part, right? Who will this impact? Who do I need to share this information with? And then you share it, and then you initiate. You take action. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So manifestors. Let's see the cards here. So manifestors, in terms of the victim consciousness, can feel victimized by other people, right? Like, why are these people creating obstacles? They can see people as obstacles. Manifestors. Okay. So when they're operating correctly, the manifestors want peace, right? That's their signature. They just want peace. And when they're not, they're angry. And the anger is just a signal that you're not operating correctly. Okay. Okay. What do we got here for manifestors? What do we have for our manifestor friends? Tell me what we have for our friends. What do we have for our manifestor friends, please? That one. Oh. More relationship stuff. Okay. Let's see what the ego is saying. What's the ego saying? We'll see the astro dice for the manifestors. Neptune in the 5th. Okay, so the manifestors got the Lover's card, another relationship card. And then the ego trap card is failure. So this is a belief pattern. If we go back to the collective manifestors, it's about unlearning something and letting go of the brainwashing and the conditioning. So this is a belief pattern that keeps you from trying. So maybe manifestors are not, maybe they're getting the divine guidance about a person, a relationship. That's what the Lover's card is all about. It's about unity. And then avoiding moving forward because of this failure pattern that can come from your family, it can come from your ancestors, and keep you from trying. So feeling victimized by this belief pattern of failure. So if we go back to the chart, the shadow of failure is that 32 right there, if you've got that. These are the fears. The splenic awareness system correlates to the fears. So this is fear of failure, 32. So if you avoid going forward in your life, and this creates a vicious circle. And then you've got Neptune there, Neptune in the 5th house. So the 5th house is romance, so that fits with the relationship stuff. And Neptune is not seeing things clearly in idealizing. So Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. It's the modern ruler of Pisces. So wanting that spiritual love, it's idealized love. And maybe you feel like you can't live up to it, right? Especially if the ego has you projecting on another person. This ideal can be like an ideal of what relationships should be, but it's all rooted in fantasy. It's rooted in fantasy that it can make you, the ego can tell you like, well, you're not good enough, right? You're not good enough. You're a failure. You were married or you had all these relationships and they didn't work out. You're just going to fail again, right? You don't want to deal with these feelings, these deeper feelings of failure. So I'm not even going to try. And really, I mean, if I were to bring it back to you in this new age of Aquarius and the cross of the sleeping phoenix, it's about really getting clear on your own relationship with yourself first, manifestors. Yeah. I just want to do another card for the manifestor here for relationships. And especially a lot of us in this generation have gone through a lot of, our parents didn't stick together. There's a lot of divorce. The percentage of divorce is really high now. That we can take on that relationship blueprint, of our parents and our grandparents. Or what it means to be in relationship. Because Neptune is like rom-coms and stuff too, right? Like movies and books. It's this deception and the glamoring. It's not real. It's not connected to reality. What's the other card for the manifestor here? Okay, so you got the friendship card. 3 of Cups. It's community, it's celebration, it's joy and play. And the other thing I want to say about the age of Aquarius, just because of the friendship, like Aquarius is also the archetype of Aquarius is all about friendship. And so these new Aquarian relationships, the foundation of these relationships are rooted in friendship. Remember that 55 is going through a huge mutation. It's connected to the 59, and this is going through a mutation too. And this means our relationships are changing. The way we come together is changing and shifting, and we're coming together as friends first, right? It's all built on friendship. So I feel like that's what this message is telling you too, is not to get victimized by this, your parents, right? Your parents and your grandparents, these ancestral beliefs that all relationships fail, so I might as well not even try. I'm just going to stay in fantasy with Neptune. I'm just going to stay in fantasy. Is to make that baby step, let go of all those old beliefs, like dig them up, right? Because they're keeping you in this victim frequency, keeping you away from freedom and abundance, and to go into friendship, right? I'm going to start with friendship. And this can take the pressure off, right? Because I feel like there's a pressure here that's victimizing you, manifestors, in terms of your relationship. And it's this belief that you're a failure, right? Because of your past experiences in relationship. And remember the old ways. I mean, we would be, before they found discovered Uranus, which takes 84 years to orbit the sun, it was Saturn, and Saturn's 29, 30 years. So our lifespan was a lot shorter, right? So till married till death do you part, that was okay. Well, you're dead at 30, so it's not a huge commitment, a huge time commitment. And now it's, we live longer and we grow and evolve, and and it's, some people aren't there to grow and evolve with us, so we separate, especially now, right? Because there's so much karma, being purified on the planet, that the relationship, it's like musical chairs in terms of our relationships. Yeah, so just to dig that up, because it could be not yours, right? It could be coming from your ancestors and your parents. Yeah, and really embrace friendship first. Yeah. Anything else for the manifestors here? Yeah, because the days of the lone wolf are over, and the manifestor likes to be the lone wolf, right? Because they've got that closed and repelling aura, you know? And it's your job to make yourself understood, right? Because we live in the generator world, and the generator's got the open enveloping aura, and there's communication that happens through the aura, right? So there's the generator with their open and enveloping aura, and then they come across a manifester, right? And then they're closed and repelling. So there's immediate distrust, right? That's in the subconscious. So this could be part of your dynamic too, manifestors, like feeling like a failure, belief that you're a failure in relationships, that it's your job to initiate. You're not a generator. You don't sit around to respond, and you're not a projector. You don't wait around to be invited. You have to initiate in relationships. And initiating is making yourself known, right? Don't assume that people are going to know who you are, right? Know who you are. You've got to communicate that. And you start off with friends, right? That's how you get to know people, your friends. The pressure's off. The pressure's off. Let's just be friends and see where this goes. Yeah. And you're not like everybody else. This is what Neptune is saying. Well, why can't I, especially if you're a woman and you're a manifester? It's like Sadie Hawkins Day every day for you, right? It's not going to work for you if you go and just, I have to respond and let that other person initiate because I'm the woman, right? It's like, no, it's not going to work for you. That relationship won't hold because it's not correct for you. Um, Yeah, so not to feel victimized by that, right? The sense of failure. It's really, it's just about embracing our authenticity and our uniqueness. That's what it is this time. And stepping away from the crowd, it's stepping away from this tribal consciousness, this cross the planning stuff that's all going. Okay. So, what do we got? Anything else for manifestors? Yeah, so friendship and fifth house is also about enjoyment, what you enjoy to do. Yeah. Okay, that's what I got. We got a theme of relationships, I feel like, with this new moon. Okay. So let's go for reflectors. 1%. Okay. Mm-hmm. So 1%. And they've got the sampling aura, and they've got to follow the moon, the cycles of the moon. Okay. So the reflectors really help us by showing us the health and well-being of a group, or the not health and well-being of a group. So be sure to write in the comment section if you're a reflector, because you're only 1%. And the reflectors that I've talked to and worked with, they were always, it was always like a lightning bolt out of the sky when they learned they were a reflector. Everything just started to make sense for them, right? Okay. Where do we go for the reflectors? Okay. What do we have for the reflectors? What do we have for the reflectors? That one there. I love doing the reflectors at the end because they're kind of the wrap up, right? They're a bit like the 6 lines too. Like they're if there's a circle, the reflector sits outside the circle like the 6 line does. And when they're on the roof, the 6 line. They're kind of the wrap up of the whole reading. Okay. Let's see what the ego is saying to the reflector. What's the ego saying to the reflector? What's the ego saying to the reflector, please? That one right there. Okay. Jupiter in the 4th. Okay. So the reflector got the Empress card. Empress card. This is the Divine Feminine card. It's very powerful. So magnetic. It's all about loving yourself. The projector got the loving themselves too with the Ace of Cups. But the reflector has the Divine Feminine. This is like the ultimate self-love. So here are some questions for you. How as a reflector, how can you show loving kindness and compassion towards yourself? Right? How can you deepen your connection to nature? And how can you fully express your creativity? This is Venus, the energy of Venus. And look at Venus, right? 25.2 right there off the self. This is accepting yourself, right? That's the gift of acceptance. It's the shadow of constriction. It's all about universal love, right? Universal love. That's in Venus right now. So you're so connected to the moon, right? Already, which is very feminine, right? It's the feminine energy. So you want to spend time in nature this new moon, right? To ground your energy. And also keep in mind with the sacred secretion, be sure to watch that video again too, where I talk about the every 29 and a half days, there's a sacred secretion that takes place. So this is, it's all about expressing your creativity as a reflector and nurturing yourself. And then looking at how your mother nurtured you, because you can't see that, but the dice say Jupiter in the 4th house. So 4th house is your mother, right? It's how you nurture yourself emotionally, which is really being amplified for you this new moon. And Jupiter is also the ancient ruler of Pisces. The new moon is in Pisces. So very emotional time for the reflectors, and the reflectors have to really look at how they nurture themselves, you know? And so remember, to nurture yourself as a reflector is to really step away from the group and spend some alone time, right, by yourself. And then look at, like, how did my mother nurture herself? Where did I learn this nurturing from? Because the mother is an archetype. She's the one that nurtures you, right? What did she do? Chances are you were not understood as a reflector. You're only 1% of the world, right? The reflector can be kind of the scapegoat of the family because they can express the health of the family, right? Yeah. And remember, reflectors with the larger reading, it's about undoing, like unlearning something, unlearning how you were nurtured if it wasn't correct, right? Learning how to nurture yourself, right? And creating a new, because Jupiter's about new stories too, right? And it's also in the Vedic astrology, it's the teacher. So learning how to nurture yourself. And then what you got here is, for the ego card, is confused. There can be confusion, right? So I would also look at this card can also indicate past life memories surfacing, unexplained emotions surfacing from your, and it's the new moon in Pisces. It's going to affect you. You're a reflector. So not feeling like you're losing control of your life. And so this is just a natural state, 64. That's confusion. The shadow is 64. It's part of the mental process to just let the mind do what it needs to do, reflector, but you stay with the emotions. You stay with the Empress card. So there could be just that disorientation. I'm sure you've experienced this already, because remember, you're a chameleon. So the mind is trying to make sense of everything, and it can't, right? These are powerful energies at play. Yeah. So to me, it's going to be really amplified for you in your emotional body, this new moon in Pisces, right? And Pisces rules the 12th house. It's like a house of mirrors. It's confusing anyway. But what is not confusing is when you just stay with your emotional self, right? And nurture yourself and take care of yourself. That's all you have to do. Don't go into the mind, right? Because the mind, it's saying to me, the mind is going to get a little bit insane for you for this new moon. It's just to stick with the Empress energy, go out in nature, right? Just enjoy yourself and ground yourself and be with the moon. Be with the moon. So I hope that if you go to the Jovian archive, I think there's a way. Hopefully, you have an ephemeris, like a human design ephemeris, and you can just follow the moon, or even follow it the zodiac signs too. We'll give you information, and see how you're ebbing and flowing, ebbing and flowing. And this way too, you can plan your life a little bit. Like, oh, the moon's in Virgo next week. That would be a good time for me to, purge some things, get rid of some things in my apartment that I've been wanting to get rid of, you know? Oh, it's in Libra. That would be a good time for me to go and socialize with other people, right? So it's really a godsend in a way, right? To follow the cycles of the moon and then write it down, like how was your day that day? Because remember, you want to be surprised. You want to be delighted by the changes. And now, oh, I was so different this day because the moon was here. It was in this archetype today. Yeah. Yeah. So to me, it's like, don't get victimized in the mind, which is for all of us. Don't let the mind victimize us, right? Or tell us that we're a victim. And the freedom is from the mind, is from the ego, not with the ego. That's the message here. Okay. So that's the reflector. Jen Goodwin, if this were a neighborhood, you're like the welcome wagon. Yeah, Jen Goodwin comes over with the basket. The basket of flowers. Welcoming everybody. Thank you. Jenny Dixon. Oh, Reflector. Yay. So you got to love yourself up, Jenny Dixon. Get into that Empress energy. Okay. And Tula Bean, Satnam. I haven't seen you in a while. Sham Sham from Northern Ireland. Really going through it right now with karmic patterns. Yeah. Yeah. I know. And wait till that Pluto shifts in Saturn too. Okay. Okay. That's great. Jen Goodman, I love people. You're on Salt Spring too, eh? I think you said you're on Salt Spring Island. Yeah. Oh, okay. So you know confusion already. 64.3. And you and you'll be attracting people that are confused. Especially as a reflector. Yeah. Okay. So that's what I have. Hopefully there's some good messages there for you. Is there anything else to say here? I guess what I want to say is put your 100%, 110% in faith in the divine, and to know that your true abundance is really coming from, your divine, how expanded you are, right? So this is the message that I was getting the other day, and I was feeling really contracted. And Venus is in here too, the shadow of constriction. Really contracted in my life, and the message was like, oh, I have to do the opposite, right? Which is to expand. So what's contracting are the shedding of identity. That's what's happening now. And we're being pressurized to let go of identity, to let go of ego, let go of not self, so that we can expand, right? So look around your world and the people and what's being reflected back to you, and you can learn from this and be the polarity, right? Become the polarity. Shift your This is where you have choice, right? You move out of victim consciousness and you empower yourself, right? So contractions around me, that means I need to expand. I'm being called to expand. That's all. I'm expanding past an identity that's limiting me right now, And Pisces is really going to help us with that. And it's going to be very, very emotional. So be prepared for that, right? Okay. So have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are in the world, and be sure to like and comment below, especially your type. And this really helps too with people connecting. Oh, I'm a reflector too. I'm a reflector too. Because we can learn from one another, especially when we're the same types. Eh? Okay. So Satnam Aloha, everybody, and I'll see you next video. Bye bye.